Our lives are laid out on a road of bumps, turns, struggles, and more. How do we respond? How do we endure adversity for learning and growth? I'm Aubrey Johnson, and we'll explore these questions and more on the Road to Rediscovery. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Road to Rediscovery. I'm your host, Aubrey Johnson. The Road to Rediscovery is about reflecting on life lessons to learn and grow from them, and of course, pay it forward and uplift others who are struggling through dark times. Now, I want to make sure that everyone here knows that you can get this show anywhere you listen to your podcasts. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio, and a bunch of other names that you may not have even heard about worldwide. When you subscribe, please leave us a rate and review. And if you can't leave a rate and review on wherever you listen to the show, we invite you to send us feedback at roadtorediscoverypodcast@gmail.com. That's roadtorediscoverypodcast@gmail.com. We are always truly grateful for your listenership. All right. My special guest is a certified mental health coach, mental health advocate, keynote speaker, and author. She is the founder and CEO of Shawnti Refuge Journals, where she advocates self-love, self-awareness, and self-care through guided learning. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Shawnti Refuge to the show. Shawnti, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Aubrey. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, it's our pleasure, and we're thrilled to have you here. So I'm really looking forward to learning about how these journals came to be. So if you can just, for the benefit of the listeners, take us back to your early days of journaling and what inspired you to begin journaling.
um, Journaling started for me back in 2018,
Okay.
and it was by force because I did not want to. Back in 2018, I had what we call a nervous breakdown. And I didn't know that's what that was at the time when I was having it. I just knew that I couldn't control my emotions. I was just spewing negative everything. I was sad, crying, angry, cussing people out. I was doing the most, but I
Yeah.
could not control it. And that's the part that scared me. So, I thought it would go away on its own because you know how women can be sometimes. So I was like, okay, it'll go away. No, it got worse and worse. And I finally went to my family practice doctor. So I didn't know who else to go to.
Mhm.
And I went to her and I told her, hey, something's going on with me. I don't know what it is, but I'm acting this way and I don't like it.
Mhm.
And, she said, oh, let me give you some antidepressants and come back in 6 weeks and let me know how, it worked for you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take them, but I did. I trusted her. She had been my long-term family doctor. So, I'm
Mm.
thinking she's not going to give me anything. She's not going to tell me to do something that I didn't need to do. So
Right.
I took them and they did not work. It was like popping Tic Tacs.
Oh
It did
my.
not affect me at all.
No.
And so 6 weeks later, I'm coming back and saying, hey, this is not working. And she's like, oh, let me up your dose. And I'm like, okay, I don't want this. I don't want this. Because
Right.
then I started picturing myself with
Mhm.
a wine glass in one hand full of wine and pills in the other one, and me
Yep.
spending the rest of my life like this. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So
No.
she referred me to a psychiatrist.
Okay.
Now, Black people don't go see no psychiatrist. So I was
Right.
like, nah, I don't want to go see a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
But my symptoms started getting so bad that I can see myself getting physical. I was already being verbally aggressive,
Yeah.
but now, okay, Shawnti, you either go get some help or go to jail. Which one?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
made a choice. So it took me a month to get into a psychiatrist's office. So keep in mind, my symptoms just continued and continued,
Right.
and I still had to work. I had the mom, I had the wife. I still had to
Yeah.
do my regular stuff,
Right.
but I'm acting crazy.
Yeah.
And I went to the psychiatrist and I told her what was going on, and she was like, "Oh, let me give you some antidepressants."
Oh my
And
goodness.
I don't want this.
Right.
And she said,
Right.
"Well, I think I need to refer you to a therapist." And I'm like, "Black people don't go see therapists?"
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we did, how we grew up,
Yeah.
what goes on in the house stays in the house. And
Yeah. And we dealt with it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, just push through. You'll be all right. Pray
Yeah.
about pray, pray it away.
Mhm.
But I'm
Mhm.
here to tell you, no. You So I finally went and found a therapist. It actually
Okay.
took my third therapist.
Your third.
Yes, the first one
Okay.
didn't work out.
Yeah.
The second one ghosted me. The
Okay.
third one, I was full of attitude. I was like, "Look, you
Oh,
my
yeah.
last.
Oh, I bet.
If you don't help me, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm to guess I'm gonna have to go to jail because." And she was like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm gonna help you. I'll help you." And she did. She helped me. No medication. She helped me. First, she diagnosed me.
Okay.
I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression,
Okay.
and I did not like that diagnosis at all. But I understood after her talking to me and vice versa. I can
Yeah.
understand that diagnosis. And
Mhm.
so she told me that we're gonna help you with journaling. And I'm like, I don't want to journal because I'm, I know I was just
Yeah.
and because I'm thinking, journaling, that's white people stuff.
Right. Right.
Black people
Yeah.
don't do stuff like that. And she laughed at me and she
Uh-huh.
said, "No, this is the way we're going to do it." So she showed me guided journaling. Guided journaling is when you are answering specific questions.
Yes.
And so she gave me a list of questions to answer,
Okay.
and I answered them. And I'm like, okay, but then I was seeing her once a week. So every week I would come back with my answers and then we
Yeah.
would break it down and talk about it. And I started feeling better. I want to say the second week of journaling, I can
Yeah.
start feeling a difference. And
I
I'm like,
see.
wait a minute. I know
Yeah.
not just me answering some questions is helping me, but they
Right.
did. They did.
I tell you, that's amazing. It's
Yeah.
it's amazing, and a few things you mentioned there, Shanti, that
Mhm.
I really have to commend you for is number one, having the wherewithal within yourself to know that you know you didn't want to mask this condition, whatever it was, with
Mhm.
medication, and increased dosages, and you actually had that vision in your mind's eye, seeing yourself, once you let it get a hold of you, having
Mhm.
a wine glass in one hand and medicine in the other hand, and that just perpetuates it and covers it as well,
Yes.
yeah. And so I'm thinking, okay, so you didn't want to see a psychiatrist, you didn't want to see a therapist, you didn't want to take the medication, rightfully so, I can truly understand that,
Mhm.
and you didn't want to journal.
No.
So what were you thinking that you needed that could help this? So just someone to talk to or talk it
I had
through,
no clue.
or
I all
okay.
I knew is what I didn't want. I didn't
Yes.
know, what I needed. And
Okay.
come to find out what I needed to talk about it
Yes. Yes.
without having judgment or criticism passed on me, and I needed to write about it. And
Yes.
it's a whole different experience. You talking to somebody is one thing, but when you're actually taking the pen in your hand and
Yeah.
writing and answering,
Yeah.
those prompts, it's a whole different experience, and that's what helped me.
That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And at at a at a lesser level that I can relate to, um, you know, I've studied, in college and high school for classes and study for tests and everything. And you can read and you can read and read and read and you can look at stuff online and you can type a paper, but until you put that pen to paper and you're writing those words and you're reading the words as you're writing them and you're feeling the friction of the pen on paper going through every single letter, you're starting to
Mhm.
really internalize it, it seems like. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, and so from there, I can see in a short period of time that you would start to notice a change and start to notice a positive change and difference. in yourself, in your mood, in your way of thinking.
Mm.
Just after a few, short journaling sessions, I'd like for you to share with the listeners, if you can. Can you speak to the level of self awareness and transparency that's required to journaling your past experiences? Because I believe, it's one thing to journal, but to be truthful in what you journal, right? It's only for you, but to be truthful to yourself in
Yes,
what you're journaling, even the things that you yourself are accountable for.
yes.
How important is self awareness and transparency and accountability when it comes to journaling?
That is the most important. You have to be honest. Why
Mhm.
are you even bothering to journal if you're going to lie to yourself?
Exactly. Yes.
It's
Yes.
one thing to lie about what size shoe you wear or what size clothes you wear, but when you're
Yeah.
trying to heal from something, you have
Yeah.
to be honest. You have to own your stuff. You have to
Yes.
own it.
Yes. Yes.
And
No.
you have to do that, or else you're
Mhm.
wasting your time.
Yeah, no, you certainly are. You certainly are. And a couple other things I wanted to ask you, and then I want to
Mhm,
start talking about the different types of journals that you provide for different
mhm.
people in different situations. I mean, I find this fabulous. I really do. I mean, just looking
Thank
at your
you.
website, seeing the different types of journals that you have for people with different types of goals and dreams,
Mhm.
even by demographic, right? Journals for men. I mean, these are things I really and truly appreciate. One thing, and if you, I want to ask for your take on this, and if you
Mhm,
don't have anything specific, that's okay too. But I love when it comes to the root word journ, right? Journ, journ.
mhm.
Okay, it's the common root word for journal, like writing down, and for journey as in your life's journey. And I don't think that's by coincidence.
Nope.
Uh, any thoughts there on that?
Absolutely. Everything, it all comes together. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to document your journey in a journal? It's
Yes.
important for you to go and look back to see how much you have grown.
Hmm.
Because, it's one thing to remember, but when I first started journaling,
Hmm.
and when I got past 30 days, I went back
Hmm.
and looked at my first entry. I didn't even
Hmm.
recognize the handwriting changed, the
Yeah,
words changed, the type of words I was, because I was cussing up a storm, I tell you.
always.
Because I was angry in the beginning. But then when I
Yeah.
went back and looked, I'm like,
Hmm.
oh my God, was that me? Did I write that? Yeah, you wrote that. But you can
Wow.
appreciate the growth when you document it. So yes, journal
Yes.
your journey.
That's amazing. Yeah, and you pointed to something I was going to ask you here in a moment, but thank you for clarifying that. Um, you spend time to reflect after you
Mhm.
write, so it's not just writing blindlessly or blindly writing
Right.
pen to paper, but
Mm-mm.
you're internalizing those words as you're writing them, and down the line you take time to reflect
Yes.
on those words, right? And so,
Right.
um, how what types of ways have you found yourself in your journaling, Shanti,
Mhm.
um, that you apply what you've written to make that change for the better in your life? When you're journaling and you're saying, "Man, I had a rough day today. This happened at work. This happened around the house. Um, the sink start leaking. I have to call a plumber. It costs all this money. Things are tight right now. Blah blah blah." And then you start writing. I'm going to start meditating. And hopefully, as I meditate, that can help calm my mind for the rest of my day, to where I can put these adversities aside. That's just an example, and then you put it to practice and start meditating. Is there any example or any way or strategy that you put what you write in your journaling to action and apply it to your life?
You answered the question. I started meditating.
Really?
Yes. I started
Amazing.
meditating. Yep, I started meditating, and I started doing breath work.
Yes, yes. I'm
I
a big fan of
started
breath work.
Yeah, I love breath work. That
Yes,
puts me to
absolutely.
sleep.
Yeah,
Like, people
I
just don't
know.
understand that it
Yeah,
relaxes you and calms you down so much, and you could
it
do it anywhere, you know,
anywhere.
because
Yes.
we don't pay attention. Breathing is like nothing to us.
Right, it
But when
is.
you start paying attention to your
Yeah,
breath, and
yeah.
oh, it's amazing. I also started yoga. I started doing yoga.
Oh,
I
that's
started
great.
grounding. So I'll go outside
Uh-huh,
in the backyard
mhm.
barefoot, walk
Yeah,
through the grass, and just be
that's wonderful.
quiet, just take in nature. It's
Right,
great. It's great on
yeah.
this side.
Oh, that's awesome, and you've seen benefits to that, with your
Yeah.
mindset and so forth?
Yes, I've seen
That's
it,
great.
mentally. When you are going through your healing process, you have to change your mindset. You have
Yes.
to, and when I teach people about journaling, I have to let them know, you say it one way and it might be negative, but let me show you how to flip that into something positive.
Right,
And
right.
people are so surprised. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of it that way. But that's why I'm here. I had to learn how to do this. So now I'm teaching you how to do this.
Oh,
And yeah, it's awesome. It is.
oh, that's man, Shawnti, that's wonderful. One thing I wanted to ask you regarding,
Mhm,
as far as being a coach, um, there are so many people in society, and I think this is a societal norm or
mhm.
pressure that society puts on 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 the general public. Everyone is so wrapped up with the destination. I arrived. I am here. Okay, whatever that destination is, you set a goal. You've made that goal. You set a milestone. You made that milestone. And while that is very commendable and important, okay, um, I think there is truly something to be learned and said and acknowledged for what you experience on the journey, you know,
Exactly.
and not just reaching that destination.
Exactly.
Okay, what was the mindset that you had on that journey that enabled you to reach that destination? Is there anything in that area regarding the journey versus the destination that you have to work with your clients to delineate? Just
Yeah.
do you think the journey is just as important as the destination, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think the journey is more important because
Okay.
once you get to the destination, if you haven't learned
Hmm.
on your way there, you can
Hmm.
easily get put back at the end, and
Yes.
have to start all over. So you
Yes.
have to take into account every step. And I always tell, my clients that it's not a race. Who you racing against? You know,
That's
you're
a
not
great point.
you're not competing against anyone. You can't
Yeah.
judge your day one by somebody's day 365. You can't do that.
100%.
You can't.
100%.
And I
No.
know social media has it to where everything is looks like it's quick, quick, quick,
Yeah.
quick. No, it
Yeah.
is not quick. If
No.
it's quick, it won't last. I promise you it won't last. If it's
No.
quick, if it's cheap, it won't last. It's temporary. And
Yeah.
this journey is a journey. That's why it's called a journey for a reason. It
Yeah.
takes time, one day at a time. And
One
you're gonna
day at
have
a
good
time.
days, you're gonna have bad days, but
Mhm.
once you learn how to use journaling as a tool, because that's what it is, once
Mhm.
you learn how to use it as a tool, you'll be better equipped to hit those obstacles and climb over them, move around them, or whatever you have to do to keep going.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes all kinds of sense. I couldn't agree with you more. It is more important than the destination. Um, it's the mindset you have as the means of the journey to get you to the destination. So the destination and reaching it couldn't happen without the journey. So so yeah, you are so right, and I appreciate how you share that with your clients and how you share, two things. Number one, what's the rush? It's not
Right,
a sprint, right?
right,
This takes time, and number two, that um, you know, um, it's don't compare yourself to others, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, this is your journey, this is your story, this is your personal development and personal growth, so
Exactly.
you can't compare your day 1 to someone's 365. That makes
Exactly.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. One other thing you mentioned, Shanti, about
Mhm,
the social media and
mhm.
and how people want to, put things up there about what they've reached and the goals and what they met and the destination where they're at. Um, uh, Society also says you have to you have to portray yourself in the best light in social media, and that's not the reality. That's not the reality.
No, it's
What are
not.
your thoughts?
That is not reality, and that's exactly
Uh-huh.
why I am very transparent. 'Cause I'm still on my healing journey, and, you
Mhm.
can go to any of my pages, and you probably see a post of me crying because something happened, because I
Yeah,
want you to see, it's not sunshine and rainbows every day.
right.
Everybody, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, how
Yeah,
you were brought up, what's your
yeah.
social status,
Mhm.
everybody goes through something. And if you are on somebody's page and it's cotton candy and unicorns every day, they lying.
Yeah,
They're
they
lying.
are. Yeah, 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 they're covering something, they're hiding
Yes,
something because
exactly.
yeah, it's not the reality, and I also have to say I truly appreciate your transparency and your authenticity in being
Mhm.
willing to show those bad times as well as the good times, to just push the truth out there that, hey, it's not always sunshine and roses.
It's not baby, it's ugly. Like I said, there's multiple posts of me crying about something,
Yeah.
and as long as I've been on my healing journey, I didn't turn into a crybaby because I remember the times I wouldn't dare cry. I wouldn't shed a tear, wouldn't
Right?
care, but
Yep.
now I cry
Mhm.
about anything. But I want
Wow.
people to see, I have
Yeah.
feelings, all
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah. 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 And you're making yourself vulnerable to share
Yes,
those feelings. And I've always said I think there's strength in vulnerability when, people say, well, when you're vulnerable, you're putting yourself in a weak spot. I kind of disagree, depending
yeah,
on why you're making yourself vulnerable. If you're making yourself vulnerable to show that, hey, you are human too, for the benefit of other people's growth, then
yes.
there's strength behind that. I truly believe
Exactly.
that.
Now, if you getting on camera just crying because you want
Yeah,
sympathy,
right.
that's a
That's
problem.
exactly.
That's a problem in itself. Nope,
Yeah,
I don't do
yeah,
that because I used to think that too. I'm like, who
yeah,
would just stop in the middle of crying and cut on the camera and record
yeah.
themselves crying? Me, because I want
Me.
you to know that, but I don't do it for attention. I do it to
No.
show people,
Yeah,
this is the human side. This is what
right.
happened. I don't care how
Yeah,
cute I was 5 minutes ago. If something
yeah,
upset me and
yeah,
made me cry,
yeah,
I'm just gonna have to show y'all, hey, this
yeah,
is what's going on and this is
yeah.
what happened.
That's right. I'm human.
Yeah,
I respond to, I respond when something sad happens, I'm sad. When
yeah,
something, bad happens, I get angry. If it's happy, I'm happy, and it's life. Life is hard,
yes, it is.
Yeah,
So
life is hard. So
it is.
let's talk about your amazing business with your guided journals. I
Mhm.
would love to know how what what inspired you to have, to me, I think it's a genius idea of having different types of journals guided and targeted for specific things. So I realize you have a guided journals for children, you have
Yes.
guided journals for men, you
Mhm.
have, of course, journals in general for stress, for anxiety, for
Mhm.
achieving happiness. What gave you
You've
that
been doing
idea to
your
have different
homework on
types?
me.
It's what I do,
I'm
so
not mad at it. Thank you for stalking. That's what I call it. Thank you for
stalking
stalking. That is fine.
only for the right reasons.
Yeah, yeah. And I tell people to do that. I say
Uh-huh.
stalk. If you want to
Yeah.
get to know someone, stalk. Follow them and stalk. Look at everything they do.
Yeah.
before you make a decision. So yeah,
Mhm.
the different topics I learned in therapy. My therapist taught me that. She said,
Mhm.
don't write in one journal about all your issues.
Mhm. Mhm.
So every issue you have a separate journal for it. So once I caught
Wow.
on to the guided journaling, I literally created a separate guided journal for myself
Yeah. Yeah.
for and all the issues I had. I
Uh-huh.
had self-esteem issues, self-love, self-awareness. I didn't have any boundaries. You
Mhm.
name it, that was me. And
Yeah.
I made those for myself. And once I started using them,
Mhm.
I started feeling better. It took me about a year, year and a half to,
Mhm. Mhm.
actually get comfortable to where I can actually talk about the things that I had, been through. And I was like, okay, well, I'm fine. It was just one day. And I heard a voice in my head say, okay, you're fine, but what about everybody else? Somebody else needs this.
Yeah.
Somebody else, wants to feel better. And
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like, oh my God, so you want, and I'm saying it was God talking to me.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and I said, oh, so you want me to publish this? Yes. And that's what I did.
Wow.
I created them, had them published,
Yeah.
and started selling them. And that's how Shawnti Refuge Journals came about. And
Wow.
I did the ones that are for men. I just took, men have those issues too. So
Yeah.
I took it and put it in a more masculine form for the men. And
Gotcha.
for the kids, I thought about nobody taught me how to have a growth mindset.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
wouldn't it be great if I could get them as young as possible and say,
Oh my.
you are strong, you are smart, you are, all of
That's
this
right.
stuff,
That's
and
right.
teaching them ABCs at the same time. Yes, I'm gonna do that. So that's how
Oh
the
my.
children's journals came.
Shanti, Shanti, can you imagine? And I'm sure you've already explored this. That's why you have the children's journals.
Mhm.
But I, I can't begin to imagine how well adjusted a child who grows into a teenager, graduates from high school, starting college in their early 20s, how well adjusted and they could be and secure in who they are themselves at that
Mhm.
age by starting this this guided journal as a child
Exactly. Exactly.
as a child.
Exactly.
So
And that was my thought behind that.
wow, my goodness, starting early. I
Yes.
mean, and then exponentially, the more children that start this as
Mhm.
they become older, who- and I'm just saying pie in the sky. Okay, I'm like the sky's the limit. I'm a dreamer, and so
Let's go. I am too.
children that start young, and
Mhm.
let's say it becomes a standard where children around the world are starting young with these journals, and it becomes a habit and a lifestyle. It sticks with them.
Yes.
They do it through their formative years, through middle school, through high
Yes.
school, through college, and and so forth. And then, can you imagine the reduction in crime? And can you imagine the increase of I would say, hopefully, God willing, the increase of minority college admissions and graduations? You know,
Exactly. Exactly. And
wow.
the lowering of the numbers of bullying and suicide and
Yes.
things like that. Yes,
Yes.
I could
Yes.
imagine it.
Yeah, yeah, me too, right? Because the bullying and that type of thing, especially with the internet now, right? With cyberbullying and such,
Mhm.
and people of all ages, they love to have that anonymity, okay, of being safely at home behind their computer or their phone,
Yeah.
just trash talking someone,
Yeah.
because they're not face to face. And so,
Exactly.
and that's bullying. That's a form of
It
bullying.
is.
Yeah. But the bully themselves would have the security in who they are and the self esteem to not bully.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And the one being bullied would be secure in themselves where it wouldn't affect them.
Yeah, and they wouldn't put up with that. Yes,
Yes. And
you're
they wouldn't put
absolutely
up with
right.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely right.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of ways of what you're doing is helping make the world a better place, not just now, but in the future, because our
Yeah,
children are our future, right?
absolutely yes. Yes.
Wow. Wow. I just love the assortment of guided journals that you have, and I know, and I have to commend you for the amount of work that it has taken for you to build these journals, because each journal that has a different theme, the guided questions are different based on what the
Exactly.
goal or the end
Yes.
goal of that journal is, right?
Yes, exactly. And they all have affirmations pertaining to that topic. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Wow. I have to ask, Shanti, who's your inspiration?
Me.
Well said. Well
Me.
said. You.
My
Well,
my goal was to
uh-huh.
be the person I needed back then. I
Yes.
wanted to turn into the person who I needed when I was a kid, when I was a
Okay.
teenager, when I was a young adult. I
Yeah.
didn't have much guidance. I
Yeah.
didn't, I didn't have a strong example. The only
Mhm.
strong example I had was Claire Huxtable, and she wasn't
Yeah.
real.
And she wasn't real.
I
Right.
wanted her to
Right.
be my mama so bad. I think I still do. But
Yeah.
not me. I'm the
I love
person
it.
who I needed back then.
So you are being the person that you needed back then, and you're the
Hmm.
person who people need now.
There you have it. Yes.
That just comes full circle, Shanti.
It
Yeah.
does. It
Yeah,
does.
that
I've
comes full
always been a giver. I've
uh-huh.
always wanted to help the world feed the children, but now
Uh-huh.
it's like I want to help everybody with their mental health if they would let me. You know, that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so important and it's so overlooked, especially in our community.
It is very overlooked, right?
Hmm.
Because things that are considered of a higher status, which are basically the superficial things of life, that people try to aspire to get, um, are really missing something deep, deep within themselves, that they
Exactly.
can really, really, if they really allow themselves to look deep into the potential of who they could be, it's far more important than any car or jewel or anything.
Absolutely. You better say it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's not important.
Yeah, no, it's not important at all. So, Shanti, if you could summarize the biggest takeaway that you want your clients and the listeners of this show to get out of journaling in one sentence, what would that sentence be?
For them to leave better than how they were when they came.
Got it. 100%. Very concise, but it says it all.
Yeah,
Leave better than how they came.
yeah,
Yeah, and that just translates to growth.
absolutely.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, Shanti, how can the listeners follow you, learn more about your great work, and pick up a copy of your book and or your journals?
They can follow me on social media. I'm at Shawnti Refuge Journals on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Same name. So I'm
Same
not
name.
hard to find. If
Okay,
and when you go and buy my guided journal or my book, then I am at ShantiRefuge.com.
gotcha. ShantiRefuge.com.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. We will put all of those links, including the social mediums, in the episode show notes so the listeners can click, connect, buy a
Yeah.
journal, buy a copy of the book while listening to this great conversation. And one other thing I will add, Shanti,
Mm-hmm.
you think I'm stalking you now. I'm gonna follow you on social media, so you
Come
can't get rid of
on.
me.
I tell everybody, anytime we
Yeah,
have an encounter, we go
yeah.
together. So we
Oh,
go
that's
together now.
Oh, that's great. We do now. And after this conversation, I'm going to be following you even more.
Come on, let's go. I love it.
So do I. So do I. Shawnti Refuge, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show, sharing your journey, being transparent, sharing your insights. Really, really appreciate you coming on the show. I hope we could stay in touch and hopefully bring you back on the show sometime in the future.
Anytime I am available, yes.
Oh, fantastic. That's beautiful. I'm already looking forward to it.
Me too. I
Oh,
love this. I used to think that I would get tired of telling my
mhm,
story,
mhm.
but every time I tell it, it's like a renewal, a new life. So nope, have me back. I'll tell it again.
Well, that's wonderful. And by the way, I'm glad you're not tired of telling your story because
Mm,
there's 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 over a I don't know how many people in the world there is, but there's a lot of people in the world.
yeah.
And even though you telling your story may sound like just repeating the same old thing, somebody's hearing it for the first
For the
time.
very yep,
Yeah,
absolutely. That's
yeah,
why I'll never get tired of hearing it because somebody needs to hear it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. All right. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening. And look, you may feel like this at times, but in our daily struggles and adversities, we're never alone. Hope is always around the corner. And I humbly ask that you please share this show with someone you know, someone you love who needs inspiration, motivation, and support. We're all roadies on this journey of life. And it sure feels good having you right alongside me. Thanks again for listening. We'll chat again soon. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of The Road to Rediscovery. We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email at roadtorediscoverypodcast@gmail.com and leave us any questions or comments you may have.